All right, well, thank you guys for coming today. So today, we are going to be talking about open houses. I'm going to get into something else first. First, I'm going to give you a little background on me. I know most of you know me, but a little bit of background on me. One, I'm the Chief Development Officer here at Barrett Real Estate.
You're what?
And I've been in the business a little over 20 years. I think going on 21 years now. I started out as a loan officer back in 2001, and then I did that for almost 10 years. Did really well in loans. In the heyday there, or right at the end of my career, I was doing about 12 to 15 loans a month. Had a full-time assistant. I had two junior LOs on my team at that time. Did pretty well. Went through the crash like most everybody else did in 2009. Lost everything. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that story. And then from there, I did some investing. I got into flipping houses with an investor for almost 3 years. And then I got my real estate license in 2012. And 2012, I was still working on the investments, the flipping for a little bit. And then I only did about 10 transactions my first year in real estate. I was closing that out. I'm still trying to climb out of my hole I was in too. And I'll share that with you a little bit later. But and then my second year in the business, I did 27 transactions in 8 months, doing this very thing we're going to talk about today. So I really got hyper focused on my business. I just focused on database and open house, and I did 27 deals in 8 months. And then I went on to business development. So in like 2014, right at the end of 2014 to 2015, I joined a small company. It's how I met Jacqueline Richards that you guys just met today. He actually hired me to come over and do business development for a small company that she was at. At the time that they announced they were going to grow the brokerage, they only had 35 agents. After they made that announcement, they dropped down to 19 agents. So when I came on board with 19 agents, in 5 months, we were at 100 agents. So helped them go from 19 to 100 agents in 5 months. Then I realized, hey, I'm not bad at this business development thing. It's pretty exciting. I've always had this dream to like build something, right? And I think a lot of us have that in us, right? And we want to grow something, build something, and really just go to a new heights, right? So I did that. After that company folded not long after. Their investor, for some reason, pulled out of hypergrowth. We literally had 100 agents, 57 deals in escrow, and for some reason they lost their investor. So everybody bailed, including myself, because I'm not going to work for free. So then I took about 20 agents, and Jacqueline and I went and started a team, a small company. And then from there, I had everybody calling me saying, hey, help us build a company. I ended up, my last company was my home group. Great company. Love those guys over there. And I enjoyed helping them go from 400 agents to 3,000 agents in 6 years. So,
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry?
How many?
From 400, just under 400 agents to 3,000 agents in 6 years I was there. But for the first 5 years, it was just me. I was the only business development person. And on the last year and a half, I was in charge of like 3 other recruiters. We started building a team. And then, of course, this amazing opportunity came my way, and I just couldn't pass it up. So here I am at Barrett Real Estate. Excited to be with you guys and excited about what we're doing and where we're going. So lots of exciting things coming up. You'll see a video from Michael Smith and I coming up pretty soon. We're going to do it with Evo here pretty soon. And we're going to kind of give you some cool news and things that we're doing as a company. We're growing fast. Those of you who don't know, we're right at 100 agents. 1 or 2 more agents will be at 100 agents in the 7 months we've been recruiting. So thanks to you guys for taking a chance on us. We believe this hopefully be your last stop wherever you go. So just lots of cool things going on. So that's a little bit about me. So today I want to talk about this market a little bit, right? So a lot of us are probably a little bit nervous about what's going to come into this year, 2023. And honestly, it is something to be thinking about because you're starting to see a lot of industry, right? You're seeing a lot of layoffs. You're seeing companies do a lot of things. And a lot of people think there's going to be impending doom coming this year. Well, I think it's going to be a rough year. I do. But here's the thing. You're probably going to have to do everything you did last year and a little more to probably do the same business or maybe a little more business, but the opportunity is there. And I know I'm right because I follow a lot of the top coaches in the country, and everything I've been saying for the last year to prepare for this year is everything that they're saying too. So, and you know who Joshua Smith is? Joshua Smith, probably one of the top teams in Arizona. He just did a video not the other day, and I clicked on it because I love the guy that like following his stuff. And he said the very same thing that yeah, he's pretty buff dude. Yeah, he's an amazing story, man. I mean, he lost like 110 pounds, and I want to say he was either, you know, he was really in bad shape, and then he just turned it around, and now he's just one of those amazing individuals out there, putting a lot of wealth and knowledge, man. Amazing guy. But anyway, he just echoed the stuff I've been teaching. A lot of you agents, if you've been in my office over the last few months, you'll hear me saying this. So here's the thing, you guys. Right now, the first thing I want to talk about today is really your mindset, okay? Because there are a lot of things. There's a lot of life. There's a lot of things that are happening to us, to what's going on in the world, all that stuff. And it can be overwhelming, maybe even a little bit scary, right? Just not knowing what's going to happen. Prices are going through the roof. I mean, the price of eggs are what, like $8 a carton, right? So it's crazy out there. But here's what I want to tell you. Mindset, not everything, but it's hugely important. Okay. You have to decide what it is that you want. The environment, yes, the environment's going to be the environment. We've had recessions, we've had all this stuff before. You know, you look at the history of rates and how they've gone. You know, we've been in up and down markets. There's a lot of people that have made good money and made a good living even in the down markets. And the reason they did is because they didn't give up, they didn't quit. They made a decision that they were going to do what it takes. They're going to do what it takes to get their business going, right? To make the business, to make it happen. And so mindset's critically important. How many of you have been in the business less than a year? More than a year? Okay, more than 3 years. Okay, so a handful, more than 5 years? One more than 5 years. Okay. So those of you, even 3 years, you've seen what real estate is, right? How many of you, I'm going to ask you a question. How long do you think it takes to become an established realtor? Consistent business. How long do you think that it takes?
3 years.
Okay, 3 years? 5 years?
2 years.
1 year?
I think like
What would you say?
2
What'd you say,
years.
Stacey?
2
Two.
years, yeah. That's
2 sounds right to me.
yeah. 2's right. That's the average. It takes about 2 years to build an effective pipeline. How long do you think it takes to lose that pipeline?
3.
Go with yeah.
A few months, and it can be over. I know I'm the victim of that because when I started doing the recruiting of that small company, I had six listings I brought over, and they said you could still do real estate, but I was so excited about building the company that I didn't focus on my business, and my pipeline dried up in 3 months. 3 months. I was still getting here and there referrals, but had I kept building the pipeline like I was, I could have consistently kept building the business. So it's just like, you know, you get in shape, right? Or you do well, you're eating well. It takes just nothing for it to, you know, I've done it. I've been on this roller coaster that way. It's like I eat really good for a while, then all of a sudden, you know what? I gotta have wings. I'm gonna have wings, I'm gonna have a beer. So you know that turns into a burger the next day, pizza the next day, and then Halloween, Thanksgiving, right? And all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, what just happened, you know? So that's the thing. That's why mindset's so important. Okay. And then you just have to right now, all you have to decide right now what it is that you want to do. So I'm gonna ask you a question. 12 months from this moment, what would you like to see in your business? And it can be a dollar amount or a unit number. What is it? I'd like you to write it down on top of your paper. Where do you want to be in 12 months from today?
Anyone want to share?
I always ask that, so thank you.
21 transactions.
Say that again?
21 transactions.
Perfect. Anybody else?
22.
22, okay.
23.
20.
Yeah, exactly.
25, so what's so whatever that is, you guys, okay, now let's do something with that. So you can write down a dollar figure too. What do you think the number one answer is that people want to make?
100,000.
Or grand, man, that's the number one answer, right? So let's just use, I'm gonna do 24 transactions, okay? 24 transactions. Though most of you have been in the business long enough to look at your past business. So how many of you actually know your numbers? One person and a half,
Well,
okay? Okay,
we kind
when
of,
I say know your numbers, you know how much business you did last year, what your average commission is, what your conversion rates are.
I know a few of those.
Yeah.
Okay, a few of those. Well, you should all know it. All of you. The top 1% in this business can spew out their numbers, they can spew out their business plan, they can tell you their why, they can tell you all this information. Why do you think that is?
Because they're focused on
Because
it.
they're prepared.
Well, it's not just prepared. If you knew how many open houses to a conversion, how many database calls to a conversion, how many door knocking to a conversion,
Yeah,
easy to scale. You knew exactly how many conversations to a deal. It's pretty motivating and empowering to know, okay, if I talk to 34 people, I know I'm gonna have an opportunity to close a transaction. So if you know what it takes to get there, because one, you've done it, you've tracked it and done it, you can grow your business. But if you don't know and you're just trying to stick something against the wall, you're gonna spin your wheels quite a bit. So you should know your numbers. So I'm gonna challenge you all to go over the last year, 2 years, figure out how much business you did. I don't care if it's 2 deals or it's 20 deals, and whatever that is, you wanna figure out how many transactions, right? But more importantly, what was your average purchase price, right? What was your average commission? I mean, average percentage you earned on it, right? So that you can find out what your average commission is. This is something you want to know. So people ask you, how's your business doing? You can talk about it intelligently. Yeah, I did 24 transactions last year. I'm looking to go to 48 this year. This is what I'm doing, right? You should know what that is. So if you know what that is, now, I'm not going to do this today, but you should take this a step further and start to build some kind of business plan. This is a very small business plan because before you can even take a step in the direction you want to go, you got to know where you're going. That's the first thing we're doing. Where are we going? Right? And this will probably equate to, it's got to be over 165 grand. So I'm just going to go plus there, right? You know, where are you going? And then we're going to talk about how you're going to get there. But today I'm going to talk about just 2 things. But part of building your business plan is where am I going? How am I going to get there? And then how do I break that down even further? Now, Relentless Agent, we teach you this. So I know Stacy's in it. I know Armando's in it. So we're going to dive deep into that. And those 2 can tell you exactly how many people a day that they need to talk to because they went through this, right? So that's what you guys need to do. You need to figure out where am I going? How am I going to get there? What do I got to do every day to get there? Okay, that makes sense. Now, so the other thing that you can do is what's coming in your business, what's going out of your business. What are you spending? So if you're buying leads, what your commission split is. There's fixed hard costs, and then there's transaction costs, right? So your fixed hard cost is like your monthly dues, right? You pay for chime, or you pay for monthly marketing, you pay for leads every month. Those are fixed hard costs. Whether you close a deal or not, you got to pay the bill. It's a fixed hard cost. Then there's transactional costs. The transactional costs, obviously, you close a transaction, you pay your transaction fee, you pay a TC, you know, those are transactional costs. If you really want to dive deep on it, most of the top 1% can tell you that. They know how much they're spending on their business, they know what's coming in, how much is going out. And I would challenge you to take it all the way down to your mortgage, your car payment, all that stuff, so you know. Because if I say you did 24 deals, did you actually make 165,000? No. But you got tax rate, you got all that stuff, right? So it's always good to factor that stuff in so you know where you're going. But this means I only make 125,000. Well, that doesn't suit the lifestyle I would like to have, right? So that means I need to scale my business. Or that's more than enough. I'm happy with that. Great. Now you know exactly what it takes to get there. Make sense? Okay. So that's the first thing you do. Now, what is the driving force behind your mindset? What's the driving force behind getting you what you want?
Your attitude and your why. Your attitude and your why.
Okay, that's good. I'm looking for something. Anybody else want to try it? Take a guess.
It's got liabilities.
I didn't hear you.
Liabilities.
Okay, what else? I'm looking for a specific word.
Bill. Stability.
Commitment. Okay. Commitment is the what you have to, so you wrote down on a piece of paper where you want to go, right? But now you gotta commit to it. I mean, commit to it. Not just tell yourself, I gotta go do 24 deals, I gotta make this amount of money. That's all right, but that's not commitment. I challenge you to look back on your life, on the major milestones in your life. If you accomplished whatever you've accomplished, if it's bought the first car, hit the home run, whatever it is. I can tell you a bunch of mine. I know that, I had to, I transferred from a public school to a private Catholic school, and they wanted me to play football there. And at the time, I was on a really good team on my public school. I mean, we weren't ranked in state or anything, but we were a good team. But so my parents wanted to move me into the Catholic high school, and they wanted me to play football for them. But come the first game, ISHA came in and said, "Hey, you can't play." For some reason, I didn't even know what happened, but somehow my school, after telling me it was okay for me to go over there and I could play in sports over there, they decided to back out at the last minute and complained to ISHA that it was detrimental for me from leaving the public school. So ISHA said, "Can't play." So I had to sit out my junior year. But did that stop me? What do you think most people would have done? Crap, I can't play. You know what I did? I went to every practice. I went to every game. And I got all that time in. They even wanted to put me in. They were like, "Hey, we'll just switch your jersey at halftime. You go in and play." I'm like, no, not breaking rules. Not to mention that my old high school was at every single game pointing me out. Hey, waving at me. But my senior year, I was so excited to play, I just balled out. And then I became senior athlete of the year. So now in that school, I have something I always want to do. I want to make an impact somehow. And I did. That was one thing I've done. I'll tell you a lot of other stories, but you know why I did that? Why I achieved that? Because I said, "Hey, I'm gonna do it no matter what. I'm gonna do this. I want to play bad enough that even though I gotta sit out, I went to every practice, every game, and I dressed for every game. I wasn't on the sideline. I was literally dressed in my pads, even though I couldn't play." So things like that, right? There's just a lot of things like that. I played baseball one time, and I was on third base, and I wanted to go to state so bad, and we were in the regionals, and we needed to beat a very good team to even get the sectionals and then state. And I'm already going to tell you we lost the sectionals. I can't tell you when the state, so we lost the sectionals. But how I got there, how bad I wanted to get there, I was so zoned in and dialed in on this that I was watching the catcher lob the ball back to the pitcher, and I was on third base, and he literally was lobbing it, not lob like this. He was lobbing it, and I was like, "Wait, that's weird," because he's a really good player. And so I was taking a really good lead, and I was kind of just looking back like this, and then he would just lob it to the pitcher. Well, the third time he did that, I just took off. My coach was freaking out because he didn't want me to do that. But if I scored, the game was over. We would. So, and I did. And it was a play at the plate, and I was safe. And I went on to sectionals, right? But the reason I tell you this is because I can go back and I want you guys to do this. Well, I bought my first car. Anyway, I can tell you the Mustang LX 5-liter was my first car I ever bought. And those of you that are my age, you know what kind of cool car that was, right? The Mustang GT, but the Mustang LX was like the thing for a while. And I can tell you the story. I worked my ass off with that thing. My dad took my car, gave it to my brother. So I had this car. It was a nice car, but it wasn't a car that I picked, but it was still a nice car. And took the car away from me and said, we got to go take this in and trade it in so your brother can get the Ford Bronco too. And you're going to drive this piece of shit Ford. It was a Ford Mustang, but it was a Ford Banger. It was falling apart. But did that deter me? I said, no. I always wanted a Mustang LX. So with that cheap payment, I worked my ass off and I put $7,000 in the bank so that I could go and buy that car. And I remember taking my dad with me to pick it up. And we were sitting there, we were waiting a long time. And here comes this black Mustang LX coming out. And my dad's like, oh, look at that car. That's my car. He was like, what, really? That's what you bought? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh my God, that's cool. But I was determined, committed. So I'm just sharing these with you because it takes that. It takes that to really do this business. You got to want to do it here. I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but think about it. Go back on your life and look for yourself. Go back and reflect. I bet you did something amazing and you did whatever it took to get it. That's how you got to want to do this business. You wrote down a number. Now it's time to commit and say, I'm going to do this. This is going to happen. You've heard all those great books, right, that are out there. I mean, I'm a faith-based person, so this goes back to biblical principle. This goes way back, right? Believe it.
Yeah.
You can achieve it, right? You've heard all these great things, but the manifestation, thoughts are powerful. So what are you thinking about? But it's not just the thoughts, because we can think all day. But it's, what do you believe?
Yeah.
You believe in yourself?
Of course.
Most of the time, right?
I do.
Well, I'm saying, if it takes that, because if you really believe in yourself, you'll do whatever it takes. You will find a way. You will keep asking questions. You'll keep doing open houses. You'll keep doing whatever it takes. All right. So I know I spent a little bit of time on that because I believe it's critical. If you don't have that, forget about it. You're going to be bouncing around. You're going to be moving from team to team, to company to company to company. Then real estate company, they all bring value, but it's up to you. Up to you. The company is going to do it. Yeah, the company's important because you want the leverage, you want the support. You need that. You need that. But it's up to you. What do you think is the one thing that keeps you from getting you what you want?
Yourself.
You, yeah. We're in our own way. We are. Doubt creeps in, procrastination creeps in, laziness, contentment. There's a lot of different characteristics of yourself that seem to get in your way. You gotta say, get out of my way. I'm going here. Get on board, get on this train. You know what I mean? Or get out of the way. You get in your own way. You gotta stop doing that. So the more you believe in yourself, the more you commit to it, that person's not going to be in your way anymore. Okay? All right, so now you know where we're going. Today I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to go into database just a teeny bit, okay? And then I'm going to dive into open houses, right? The reason why I want to go into that, because it is the number one thing that all of you should be working every single day. You should be working on your database every day. Now, I told you about Joshua Smith a minute ago, and because I wanted to watch this video, and he said there's 4 things you should be doing right now in this market if you really want to succeed. You really want to make it through this market, 4 things. So I'm going to talk about 2. This is number 1 was database. This number 2 is open houses. And anybody that knows me knows that I've been preaching this for a long time. If Perry was here, I know he's busy right now, but he would tell you, Perry and Alec are a team that came over here. Take a guess how many open houses these guys do? Every day. Every day, 7 days a week. Anybody know who Jason Mitchell is? Yes. That big team, right? He was on a panel that we did years ago, and he was asked, if you were to start over, what would you do? You said I would do 5 open houses a week. 5 open houses a week. But I'm gonna talk about database because that is the number one thing, right? Right now in this market, how many of you think it's hard? How many of you work your database every day? Every day.
Well, I'm learning.
That's good.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. That's better than I get most. Every day. Now, how many of you think it's hard to work your database?
Right now. It's hard because we're learning.
Now, I'm gonna just tell you what these are, but there are 4 scripts that I use every day. Because how many of you think this is a sales business? Yeah, I caught you. That's a trick question. So it is. There are transactions, but this is a relationship-based business. So the more relationships you build, the more transactions you will get, right? You've got to build the relationship. So yes, there are transactions, don't get me wrong. So you are going to do a number of transactions. It just asks you how many you want to do. But the way to get there is relationships. So every day you need to be building relationships. So you got to start somewhere, right? How many of you have gone through your entire phone? Okay, good. That's the first place you should start. Go from A to Z, everybody in there, and you should start catching up with them. Database is critically important to building your business. Now, how many of you think that you should just put people in there and put them on a drip campaign? Oh, good. I see some people shaking their head. No, that's absolutely correct because a lot of people do that. They will build their database, download it from their phone, put it in an Excel spreadsheet, upload it into their system, and boom, send it out there and hit every single one of them. You don't want to do that because you get a lot of unsubscribes. You don't want that. And I guarantee you, one of those people that unsubscribed would have been an amazing referral source for you. So here's 4 scripts I use. I hope you guys use them. So there's the reconnect call. So when you're calling through your phone and it's someone you have not talked to in a long time, you are going to do just that. Reconnect to them. Are you going to talk about real estate?
No.
No, because the second you do that, they're going to think it's a sales call and they're not going to be responsive. So remember I talked about from the heart? All this needs to be done, be genuine from the heart. You want to catch up to them. Otherwise, delete them. Everybody clean out your phone. You don't want to talk to them, but be genuine about it. So when you call to reconnect, what's that? Hey, Danielle, how are you doing? Right. Hey, I was just wondering if you had 10 minutes to catch up. I know it's been a long time. You haven't talked in a while. I'm sorry about that. Life's just been crazy, but I would love to catch up with you. Got 10 minutes or maybe a cup of coffee this week? That's it. And then when we do meet or we do talk, it needs to be tell me everything. What's going on? How the kids? How's the husband? How's everything going? With work? I want to know it all. And if they give you one-word answers, what are you going to do? Keep asking questions. You want them to talk. Get them talking. You are interested. You genuinely want to know. Don't just be in a hurry to get out what you want to say. Get them talking. And then, what is Danielle going to say to me after she told me everything?
What have you been doing?
What are you doing? How are you? Now, what am I going to do? Am I going to talk real estate? Oh, I'm going to say my son's doing great. Life's going great, man. I've been getting into hiking, been playing pickleball a lot, you know. I'm going to get into what's going on with me. And then at the end of it, I can mention, I could say, yeah, my business is going good, but thanks for asking. That's it. And then I'm going to say, hey, Danielle, I promise you, I'm going to keep in touch with you. I look forward to the next time. Appreciate you taking my call. Thanks for meeting with me. Promise I'm going to stay in touch. It's not going to be a long time before we talk again. I'm going to go into my database. Next call I do is a give back call, or actually gratitude call. How many of you do gratitude calls? You want to have an amazing day? Call 5 people in there, get 5 live conversations, just thank them for something. You ran into them, just call them up and say, hey, Justin, man, so glad you stopped by the office yesterday, man. It was great talking with you. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me. Hope you have an amazing day, man. Have a great day. That's it. You want to put some smiles on people's faces, make them feel good? Do that. And watch it be impactful. Well, you got to mean it. You can't just say, hey, man, thanks. You gotta be it, you know what I'm saying? Be grateful. Give back call. How many of you do these? You like referrals, right?
Yes.
What's the best way to get referrals?
Give referral.
Give them. Give referrals.
So you had,
You ever heard that story? The more you give, the more you.
reconnect call script, and then the second one was gratitude call, and then the third one was.
This is the give back call. This is where I'd be like, hey, Nick, how you doing today? Great. Hey, I was just wanting to see if there's anything I can help you with today. Is there anything you need?
Need a plumber.
You should have one. You are the concierge of everything. You need to be the focal point for everybody in your database, everyone you know. So Nick says, no, I'm doing good. Hey, great. Thanks, Nick, for taking my call. But the reason I'm reaching out is, as you know, I'm in the real estate business, and in my business, I'm connected with a lot of resources. So if you ever need anything, please reach out to me. I'd love to be your focal point. I'd love to be your go-to person if you need anything. You need a car dealer, you need a financial advisor, you need an attorney, reach out to me. I have a vast network of connections that I have, and they're great to work with. Do the give back call. You know how I did this? I went to BNI. How many of you know what BNI is? Okay, so I was going to my first one, and I was like, oh shit, I don't have any. Can I swear in here? Is that okay?
Yeah.
That was, I was going to my first event, and I was like, crap, I don't have anything to give. That's the whole concept of BNI, is that there's one of each profession, but the whole idea is that you bring referrals to the group. That's the whole idea. I was like, crap, I'm not going empty-handed. So I called 5 of my past clients, and I did that very thing. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just like, hey, is there anything you need? I mean, it was a real pleasure working with you on your loan. Is there anything you need? Like, yeah, I need a landscaper. Like, hey, great. Can I have Jimmy give you a call today? Yeah, awesome. Then guess what? I went with a couple of referrals, and then a light bulb went off. I'm like, why in the hell am I not doing that out? I should be doing that every day. What's crazy is how many referrals you get from doing this. And this is a whole nother class. I'll get into that later. Actually, how to build your own network of getting referrals. How many of you actually have built? So okay, real quick. There's everything to do with the house, right? So window cleaner, landscaper, right? Roofer, electrician, plumber, and those. Do you care about getting referrals there? Not really. I want them to take care of my client, right? That's the most important part. Then there's the second group: car dealer, hairstylist, business owners, all that. Do you care about getting referrals there? Heck yeah. How many of you ever heard a book called The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill? Who? Did you read it?
Yeah.
Do you remember the section there they talked about working with like people?
Yes.
Okay, that's one of the biggest things that stuck out with me. If you work with people that are like-minded, so in other words, you go and sit down with someone and say, hey, listen, hey Doug, I got your name from Danielle, and Danielle said you're a great CPA, and just wondering if we have a chance to maybe meet for coffee or lunch, because in my business is growing, and I'm in front of on average 75 people a month that might be in need of your services. And you came highly recommended, so would you be interested in meeting with me, see if we can work together? Absolutely. Right? Who wouldn't say yes to that, right?
Heck yeah.
Right. There might be more than that. For me, it was like I was averaging 58 to 60 people a month through my open houses. And then I was doing more through my database and all the people I was connecting with and stuff like that. So, but the point is, I got the meeting. And then when I get to the meeting, it was really me interviewing him. It wasn't saying, hey, yeah, let's work together. It was, how long have you been in the business? How many people are you in front of? How many realtors are you working with? But build a network of 10 people. And the one thing that I would tell Doug, listen, Doug, I'm committed to helping you grow your business. Because every day, I have 3 to 5 live conversations, what I call give back calls. I'm looking for referrals to refer to you and to my group. Every day I do this. So I'm committed to making over 100 calls a month to refer you business. How's that sound? Great. Hey, I'm looking for reciprocation. I'm looking for someone that is willing to do the same for me. Are you willing to do that? And they're, yeah, then great. Hey, let's try this out. Let's do this. If you're already working with 5 realtors, I'm not interested. Man, you're great. Love you, but I don't want to be number 6. So I'm looking for like-minded people because I'm committed to helping you grow. So if I can't be number one or number two on your list to be referred to, thanks for the meeting, man. I got lunch, whatever, right? And then move on and find someone that is. But imagine 10 people committing like you are. You imagine having 9 other people or 10 other people that are making 3 to 5 live conversations a day to refer you?
It's a lot of people.
How much business do you think you get?
Lot.
How many of you do this? Probably no one, right? But this is what the top 1% do, right? They have these relationships for a reason. They go out and make these connections. So you should too. You should.
What's the fourth call?
Sorry?
What was the fourth call?
Referral.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me. Indirect ask for business. This is people you do know, you do talk to all the time. It could be your brother, friend, whatever, but you do consistently talk to these people. Here's my call. So I'll say, hey, Dean, it's Michael. How are you today?
Right?
Great. Hey, I was just thinking about you on my way to a meeting. And as you know, I'm a realtor. I wanted to see if you'd feel comfortable referring me to someone that might need some help in real estate. They'll be like, great. Hey, thanks. I'm going to send you my business contact information just so you have it. Oh, and by the way, would you like to receive some information on what's going on in the market today?
Whatever.
All right, awesome. Hey, I'll make sure I send that out to you. And hey, thanks for taking my call. As I mentioned, I'm about to get into my meeting. You know, I said that, right? I made a professional call because I said, hey, I was just thinking about you on my way to a meeting. I only got a short time to talk to you, right? I did 3 things in that call. 1, I reminded them I'm a realtor, right? 2, I triggered the subconscious. Think about whether they know someone or not. Because I asked him if he'd feel comfortable referring. You triggered the brain. Think about it. Do I actually know anybody right now? And the third thing I do is I invite them in the database. No one should go into your database without being invited in, period. They want to be there. And I'll get into conversion a little bit later of why that's important. Because once you hit a magic number in your database, it will build itself. The referrals will just keep coming. Now, you have to do the work. I'm about to give you the magic number we're doing now, but you just can't put them in there and then expect that, oh, I'm gonna get all these deals. You gotta work it. You gotta make these calls. You gotta do this. You gotta work the database. Okay. I'm gonna tell you my story. This is where I started to tell you this story. So, as I told you, I made a lot of money. I've lost it all. And when I say I lost it all, I mean I lost it all. So in 2009, I went through a divorce. Now my family, everyone stays married. There's only like a few of us out of all my first cousins, second cousins. They're all still married, 20 years, 30 years, whatever, 40 years. And so that was really hard for me. Not to mention that it was 2009 and the market was just gone. So my business tanked because it just wasn't there. Plus my head wasn't in the game, like I've been telling you guys, right? Mindset. My commitment wasn't there either because I had my head on my butt about the divorce and I lost all track of even doing business. I had a 6-year-old, 5.5-year-old at the time, 6 years old. And my business, you know what's crazy is for a while, I was referring all my loans because I was a really good loan officer. I had a friend that worked at the same company, so he was just paying me 50%. I just didn't even want to do them. I was like, fuck this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, life sucks.
Call reluctant.
And I just started referring all the loans over to him, and he was loving it. Like closing 4 deals a month, and he's like, "Shit, dude, just keep them coming, man. I'll pay you 50% all day long." and then finally went from 4 deals, 3 deals, 1 deal, no deals, and then literally I was broke. Literally, I even called my landlord at one point, and I said, "Hey, I can't pay the rent. Couldn't pay the bills. Couldn't do anything. I had no money. I was lost." So I'll tell you how bad it was.
That was a very rough time.
Very rough time.
We went from writing deals on hoods of cars in 2007, 10 agents showing up at the house, writing a deal. It was creative writing. My client would give $1,000 above and beyond any price offered today. Sign this, buyer. Boom. Sign. Boom. I got to present it. And after that, 2008 hit, and then guys were going to jail in the loan industry. So being in the loan industry, that's a scary thought. I mean, top producers were going to jail because of their.
Well, I never broke the law too.
Well, yeah.
Lot of bad
They went to
abuse.
jail because they were misleading people.
But I literally got down, you guys had $100
A lot
to
of them didn't have license.
$100 to my name. That's all I had. And I remember slumping down on the kitchen floor going, what am I gonna do? And my son comes walking in, he doesn't know anything, you know, and he's like, hey, can we go to our favorite place to eat lunch today? And in my head, I said, fuck it, let's go. Got $100, I spent, what, $35 on lunch? So that's all I had left. Guess what happened when I came out? Dad, where's the car?
Reboot
Can
it.
you imagine having that conversation?
Oh my God.
I laugh about it now because I'm humbled by the experience, but I filed bankruptcy, which got approved. And what I didn't know was that I filed my car as a voluntary repossession. So I filed it in the bankruptcy and it was a voluntary repossession. So what I didn't know was that if I would have kept paying something on the car, they would have never came and got it.
Anything.
They would have just kept taking the money until I stopped
Yeah.
paying and then they would have got it. It was a voluntary repossession. I didn't know. I called my attorney. I told him, he's like, I should have told you that. He's like, I thought I told you that.
So, I mean, I paid you to tell me that.
Yeah, well, you said you could have kept it longer. You would have paid something.
Mm.
Instead of not pay full payments, but pay something, and they would have just kept taking the money until you stopped. Then they would have came and got it. And I had the money actually in the beginning to pay it off. I could have paid it off, but I felt like I needed to live on it. Either way, it was a uniquely humbling experience. Okay, and I'm gonna explain to my son. Well, come on, son. You know, imagine calling mom. Hey, can you pick us up? They go, oh, okay, you know. But, and the reason I share this with you is because no matter what you're experiencing is, no matter where you're at, not that any of you are in a bad place, but my point is, no matter what point you're at, if you're not where you want to be, you can do it. I had a grace of God. I had a sister who I helped out for years. She decided to say, hey, here, I'm just going to borrow you this. You know, without me asking. I didn't ask anybody for anything. I just said, screw it, I'll deal with it. I'll get a job, whatever. I had an uncle that gave a shit. He called up and said, you know, I'm gonna tell you word for word what he said. So it's gonna have a few cuss words in it. But he said, hey, I just deposited $2,000 in your account. And he goes, I know you're going through a rough time right now. But he's like, get your fucking ass to work. Don't think about it. Go do what you know how to do. Stop messing around. He goes, I reserved a car for you at the thing for a month. I rented a car for you for a month. And then my sister did that. That was huge. That was a wake-up call for me too, because I realized, I'm like, what am I doing? I know how to make money. You know what I mean? So I literally said, boom, I jumped on with this other company. I did 18 loan applications. I had 3 deals already ready going through. Wasn't enough to get me out of my hole. I mean, I was dead. You know what I mean? Like, wasn't enough to do that, but I made a commitment. I don't ever want to go back there. I hope to God, grace of God, I don't ever go back there, but I'm going to do whatever it takes that I don't have to do that. Now, that's not as bad as some people get it, but for me, it was bad. It was humbling. And so I went from there, and then I started working with the flipper. We flipped a ton of houses. I started making some money and started slowly clawing my way out of that hole. And then I got into real estate. My investor, who's worth millions, well, that was just fun for him. He's like, hey, you need to start focusing on your real estate, because this isn't my full-time thing. This is just fun for me. And you want to know how grace of God, I'm talking about grace of God, you want to know how? I was so bad in debt when I met this guy. So those loans I was closing, I was only getting paid like $3,000. Because remember, the price points were 150,000, 200,000. We weren't making that much money. And it wasn't enough to get me out of the hole. That when this guy met me, at first he wanted to hire me as a loan officer. And then when after lunch was done, he's like, screw that. I want you to come flip homes with me. I love the way you talk about it. You said 2 important things. We'll never pay more than we agree that we're going to pay, and we're going to be patient. That nobody else has approached me to flip homes ever said that. I want to work with you. Then we go in to write down the agreement, because we were going to go in his office to write up the contract. Here I'm a guy that's way behind, right? And of course, normally in this situation, you're not going to get paid till you start working, right? Till you start getting deals going. So normally I would get paid at the end of the month. But I asked him if I could have a check up front. You know how ballsy that is? don't even know this guy, and I needed to ask because I was that bad. So any way I could get a check up front. I couldn't even believe it came out of my mouth. But it did, and he said, looked at me, he's like, I've never been asked that before. He's like, you know what? I believe in you. You're probably one of the most genuine people I've ever met, and I'm willing to do it. Let's do it. Stroked me a check right there, walked out the door, and I was like, oh my gosh. Thank the Lord. But that was my path. So from there, we flipped a ton of homes. I made him a lot of money. I learned really how to flip homes, how to do that, all that stuff. And then I got into real estate because at the end of it, he goes, hey, how do you get your real estate license? You're really good at this. You could have, in fact, you could have earned all those commissions. I'm like, oh, now you tell me. So I got my real estate license. Then you know the rest from there. And I started that small company, and then I really grown my business. But I was committed, man. I was like, I'm doing this. So I share that with you because no matter where you are, no matter what situation you are, no matter where you're at, you just gotta believe. You just gotta believe and go for it. Now, before you go, I want to leave you with something. Because I got my conversion rate, track your conversion rate. I got mine down to 1 in 34. Every 34 people I talk to, I close the transaction. So I couldn't wait to meet the next person come through my open house. So track your numbers. Your numbers will be different. That's okay. But once you figure out what it is, it's a lot more exciting to have open houses. Now, I want to leave you with something because I think it'll kind of put this all in perspective. What is the, we talked, I threw some of this stuff out here, but what is the most important thing about building your business? What was that one word?
Commitment.
Mindset. Mindset's good, but commitment. 1 T or 2 T's?
I don't know how to spell.
I think it's 1. Okay, but in order to commit, you have to what? I said this word too.
Believe it. Oh, dang. I just guessed that one.
You gotta believe. You have to believe. Okay, now you've chosen commit and chose to believe it with your heart. Now what do you gotta do? Time to what?
Execute.
Well, that's good, but I want you to focus. Time to get hyper focused. Put your deals up here, right? Now, how you're gonna get there is where you get focused on. You gotta get hyper focused on your business. Start with 2 things or 3 things. If it's just database and open houses, get super focused and super good at it. Become the expert at it. Learn everything you can, try different things, become the expert. That's what I did. I was doing 6 things. I was doing marketing, I was doing farming, I was doing leads, I was doing open houses, door knocking, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And I'm like, this is stupid. I focused on database and open houses and I crushed it. I almost quit, you guys. 4 months. I almost quit. Called my mom, 40 years in the business. I'm like, how the heck did you do this? This real estate sucks. It's not working. She's like, take a breath, keep going. I did. I had that one real busy open house. That lady interrupted me while I was talking to 2 people, and she said, I've been trying to get a realtor to show me this house down the street for a week. Will you show me this house? And I almost said it out loud. Everybody out. I'm like, let's go. I didn't, but I really wanted to say that.
You were looking at this house.
Yeah, and she said, it's okay, you can show it to me tomorrow. So sure enough, it said the appointment. That was my first deal outside of my investor. And I listed her house, sold it in 3 days, and then she had to buy. And then I went out and do 27 deals.
The very first open house I ever did, I got my first client from it, and we bought something within a week.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It took 4 months, man, a power.
That was literally like a week after getting licensed. Like,
You got the money.
But it went gangbusters. I'm gonna show you one thing after this. So you get hyper focused on what you're doing. You need to have a clear mental vision. You gotta be clear on what you want. So that's part of helping with the business plan. Write out what you want. What does your life look like a year from now that you're doing 24 transactions now? Be crystal clear in that vision. Be hyper focused and be clear on what you're doing and where you're going. And then, anybody want to guess what the last thing is? what do you gotta do?
Execute.
Execute is good, but
It's a
more
good-
than that, you need to be,
Persistent.
yes, wildly consistent. Right? That's shitty writing, but wildly consistent. You gotta keep going. Don't give up, keep working. You have a bad day, that's okay. Tomorrow's another day. Right? You find yourself getting into having a bad day, stop. Take a breath, take a walk, take 5 minutes. I don't care what it is, get out of it and get back into a positive mood. Don't end the day that way. You can get yourself out of it. You know what triggers you, you know what motivates you. Those are things. We talk a lot about this in the training course too. So wildly consistent. Now, one more thing, and I'll let you guys go, because we talked about pipeline and all this stuff. And I just want to put it in perspective because there's a guy that did this for us in our training course. His course was almost identical to our course. And so we had him come in and talk about the database, and he drew a line like this. And he said, all right, think about it this way. He says, know what you're doing. So in this case, if it's open houses and database, these are the two things that you're doing to build your business. Right? Now, database, you're making calls, right? You make that connection and that person says, we're not ready. We're 24 months out. Most people give up on that. You're not gonna. You're gonna put them in there, you're gonna reach out to them, you're gonna stay in touch with them, you're gonna follow up. But you're working this timeline, okay? The timeline, this is exactly what happened to me. And so I'm doing open houses, I'm working my database, I'm making calls, and everybody's landing on the timeline somewhere, right? They're all landing with their own timeline. And what ended up happening was people kept going on this timeline. And for me, I had this big space between here, right? It was like 4 months, you know, I wasn't getting anybody. And then all of a sudden I finally got that one after 4 months. But now I'm still moving and building the pipeline as I'm going, right? And then all of a sudden when I'm moving down the pipeline and someone else landed, and then I had 2 deals. And then I had people kept coming in. I had 4 deals, and I had 5 deals, and I had 3 deals. It just was snowballing because all these people that are on this timeline are now raising their hand saying, I'm ready. Everybody has their own timeline. They're not ready. They're saving down payment, they're building credit, whatever that is. And I'm helping them along the way. I'm staying in touch with them. But as I keep putting people in the timeline, you're gonna get that one that says, I'm ready. And then now all of a sudden, I'm ready. There's 3 people ready, right? At the same time, because you're following up with them. So I hope that puts it into perspective of how important it is you need to put people into your system and stay following up with them. That's gonna happen.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off that, someone will tell you we're like a year out. They're really like 6 months out.
Sure, because if you're following up with them, and giving them information, right?
They're gonna start like, hey, it's time to buy a house, and then they're gonna start thinking, well, we're 6 months out from what we told them. Let's start the process, and all of a sudden, boom, we got a free call.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you're looking at houses.
It's such a good point because there's a lot of times that people don't think they're qualified.
Yeah.
And then when you get them to the lender and the lender's like, oh, we can have you ready in 2 months. Oh, what, really? We thought we were a year away. But putting them through this process and all of a sudden you just keep building the pipeline. You should be excited about how many people you put into that database. Because it's gonna hit. As long as you're consistent.
Love that.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We've got so much more coming your way. We've got a lot of classes that are hopefully from these classes, you can walk away with something, implement it in your business goal. So it's not just that you're taking notes. We hope that you're able to take this information and use it. So, thanks again.